And I want to jump now to Creator Wizard. So this is within the last 12, 18 months you started this?
Yeah, last June, I think was when I first uploaded my first video, May maybe.
And so it's been a year. And if I just did some quick, simple math kind of on how many videos you've uploaded, over 120 in the last year, like you've been pumping out videos. What's the upload strategy right now? Is it like 2-3 times a week? Like what's that look like?
So I do every Wednesday, and then I do a live stream every Friday. So that's the cadence right now. And honestly, it's just trying to, pump out as much content as possible because I just have so much to talk about. So much. I use like my comment section and my DMs and my email as content fuel, honestly. Right? Like it's just the questions that I'm getting over and over and over again. Things that I saw that I see running the agency. Like I just I'm uploading a video like soon in the next week or two about the 3 mistakes that I see creators make when brands email them, for example. So it's like there is an advantage, I would say, to having like some experience on both sides of the fence, because it's like I can actually tell you like I'm experiencing this. Like I actually just tweeted literally like 30 minutes ago. I was like, we're trying to recruit for a paid campaign right now for the agency, and a lot of creators who are managed by a manager, their email address in their bio or in their business inquiries area is like influencer name at agency.com. And I can't get a hold of these people. I can't get a hold of them. No one's responding. And I'm emailing multiple influencers at the same agency. So it's like, if I was a creator, I would be mortified, right? Because it was like, there's these opportunities that are coming to me, and my manager, who's supposed to be doing this on my behalf, is not responding in a timely fashion. So that is like worst case scenario, right? So these are the types of things that I'm like, my advice to creators is like, look, if you're going to hire someone to do this for you, you got to have some level of transparency or some level of like service level agreement. That's my engineer talk, right? You got to have some service level agreement with your manager about how quickly they're going to respond to you to opportunities that are coming to you. So it's like, these are the types of like advice that I can give to creators. And whereas like, someone who hasn't had that experience wouldn't necessarily have that perspective.
That's interesting because I've always wondered what, like, from the brand or from the agency's perspective, when it's influencer name at agency, I was like, if that means you have an email for every single influencer in your roster, like, did that all forward to one email? Like, that was just
Probably does. Yeah. Yeah. Probably all goes to like one email address, and they have like some sort of triage system, but they're not triaging it fast enough. That's all I know.
and you're giving for the most part. Like, I know you said you have a paid thing tomorrow. You've also you have your brand deal challenge, the brand deal, of course, but for the most part, you're giving all of this information away for free.
Yeah.
And you
Most
mentioned
of
that
it's
earlier.
for free.
So why are
Yeah.
you giving it away for free?
I gotta be totally honest with you. Like, we have had so much success in our careers, and we're so blessed, and we continue to have so much success that I think I've just reached a point in my career where I'm driven by I'm fulfilled by helping other people succeed, honestly, like completely candidly. And so it's like, if I can help someone get paid twice as much money on a brand deal for the same amount of deliverables just based on simple negotiation tactics, that's incredibly fulfilling to me. That's what excites me these days, right? And so like moving into the next decade of my like career or my life or my, what excites me when I wake up every day, it's helping other creators. And if I could like help someone avoid a pitfall or a mistake that we made early on in our careers, that's what drives me.
And then it's just deepening the connection you have with the people who you're helping, who then, and you never know which one of your creators or someone who's going to end up working at one of those brands that you want to work with. And then a brand, you know what I mean? Like, it's just long term. So I think that's super interesting.
It all honestly, like we have been driven. This is maybe a little woo woo for this podcast, but like, we're like big believers in karma, right? If you put positive energy out there, you help someone out without any expectation of getting something back in return, that comes back to you. And it has come back to us time and time again over the years. And so like I'm a big believer is like, yeah, I'm like pumping out a bunch of positivity or a bunch of positive karma out there. And it's, honestly, I don't know when it's going to come back. And it's, yes, I have a course now, and that was something that I didn't plan either at the beginning. But ultimately, I think this is all going to come back. And I'm a big believer in the fact of this is like a podcast focused on like social media and business and things like that. And it's like my one of my major pieces of advice that I give to creators and just anyone in general is that when you help someone, when you help people, you will ultimately find a way to make money. If you put as your mission, I'm going to help people, I really truly believe that will come back around, and the money will come somehow eventually.
Mhm. And do you wanna plug the course Brand Deal Wizard, right? It's
Yeah,
cohort
sure.
based, right?
Yes, it is. So it's called Brand Deal Wizard. You can go to branddealwizard.com. It is cohort based. I do it probably get so I'm actually enrollment is opening next week. And so it's probably going to be already closed by the time this podcast lives, but that's okay. You can go to branddealwizard.com to join the waitlist. But yeah, it's a 4-week program. It's live Zoom. It's live Zooms. It's very interactive. So I was trying to decide whether I should make this course like completely asynchronous, like all on demand type content, binge like Netflix. But one of the like in the so here's if you don't mind, I actually think this is quite fascinating, like how I actually launched the course, which was that I did private coaching, one-on-one coaching first, because I got advice that like, hey, if you want to do a course or if you want to like give more detailed information to people like this, prove the framework out with coaching first. And so that's what I did. I coached a number of creators to prove out the framework and like had amazing results, had amazing success. And so I spent like many months doing that first. And then I decided that I was going to do it cohort based because what I ultimately learned was that it was actually the loneliness aspect of being a creator that people were most craving, which was like hearing from other people's experiences working with brands, hearing from other people's experiences with their content strategy. That's what was most desired, right? In a course format like this. So, yeah, I could have a private Facebook group and have it on demand content, but it still would not replace having a live Zoom meeting where people could like actually like interject. Yeah, I'm like teaching, there's instruction, there's structure, but people could interject, like be like, oh, let's actually stop, like go back a slide. Can you explain that? Right. And then people will be like, oh yeah, actually this exact thing happened to me when I did a brand deal like 2 weeks ago. And then you go off on this tangent for like 10 minutes, right? It's like, that is so much more powerful than a traditional course. And so I was so happy that I did this type of format because it just, it just, the results and the transformations that people have been able to experience because of that has been so much more powerful.
So, I mean, now is probably the most ideal time to have a course like this, to have a channel like this, providing this information, because more and more people are wanting to become influencers, YouTubers. I think there's a survey or something that where actually I have it written down here. No, I didn't have it written down, but where there's a survey where more kids want to become YouTubers and influencers more than ever before. Everyone wants to be a creator. And I'm curious, in your opinion, why you think so many people want this job?
Wow. Well, honest, I mean, it's a fundamental shift from when I grew up and probably when you grew up, right? Which is so I have a 4 and a 7-year-old right now. And literally from the time that they were born, they literally have never watched regular TV. I mean, maybe like in hotels, right? But it's all been like Netflix and YouTube. Actually, a funny story. Like literally, I remember one of the first vacations we went on when my kids were a little bit older, and we turned on the TV in the hotel room, and like a commercial came on, and they were like, "What? Why'd you turn off the show? Like, fast forward it, like or whatever, right?" Or they didn't even have any concept of the fact that they're like a show couldn't be like completely on demand, right? So it's a completely different paradigm shift, right? So the content that they consume, the people on those channels, that just feels normal to them, right? Also, I think the other thing too is that, at least for like, let me speak specifically for my kids, is that our kids have grown up seeing my wife and me as entrepreneurs, right? And so because this is what we do for a living, and we've been able to spend so much more time with them our entire lives, like rather than like a traditional career, traditional 9 to 5. I mean, what could be better than creating content about the things that you love and being able to provide for the people that you love at the same time, right? And so I think this old notion of having a traditional 9 to 5 and having that like job security, I don't know. I think to a lot of, aspiring, creators or, kids who are aspiring, to trying to figure out what they want to do in their lives, just doesn't really make sense. And it's actually, that's actually kind of a point of friction, because I remember my parents, or like, that generation, they had a much more established vision of like, okay, you work at like maybe 2, 3, 4 companies for your whole career, right? And then you retire, right? And so there was always this thing of like, millennials like skip jobs a lot, 1 to 2 years, and they like move on to the next thing. But that is just kind of like what our generation has always done, because there was no pension. there was no safety net that could be like looked forward to at the end of an illustrious career with four or five companies, right? And so in fact, when I did quit, or when we did become like full-time creators, I remember there definitely being like, oh my gosh, like how could you, you know, get rid of that job security or whatever and all that stuff. And my counterpoint to that has always been like, I actually think it's more risky to be in a 9 to 5 because you can be laid off at any time. Yeah, you can bust your butt and like, try to, suck up to your company and like all this stuff. But if times get rough, and if there's an economic downturn, you better believe that your company's not going to think twice about laying you off or letting you go. Right. And so in fact, if you have a robust presence on social media, or you're a creator and you have multiple income streams, you can't get fired overnight. Right. Yeah. Maybe your income will, start to slowly decline, but it's not going to be a cliff. It's not going to be a precipitous drop. Right. Whereas if you're fired from your 9 to 5, that's quite precipitous. Right. So it's like, I actually think that investing in owning, right, your revenue prospects is actually a much more, if you have the appetite for that. I'll get say I'm not saying everyone is going to be a creator and have want to do that, but if you have that desire, heck, I actually think it's a safer bet for the next generation than a quote unquote 9 to 5 job.
Mhm. I agree. Do you think though that part of the reason kids want to be YouTubers is they view like the lifestyle, the quote unquote lifestyle that comes with it, they see on camera, but isn't necessarily one behind the scenes? Do you think part of that is the allure? It's kind of like when people wanted to be movie stars for the fame, now they want to be YouTubers for the fame as well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, there's definitely like a romanticism for sure about what it's like to be a creator. I would say that the type of content that we create is not like the a party lifestyle like this, that because like a lot of young kids, like especially like teenagers and stuff, like that's what they're like thinking about at that age, right? So those are the types of creators that they're drawn to, and they think that's what it's like to be a creator. But there's a whole generation, a whole segment of the creator population that is not glorifying that type of lifestyle, and they're portraying relatively wholesome things, right? And so like there are other creators, other people who aspire to that too. Right. So yes, there is a certain amount of romanticism about it. But yeah, like I will say from a work-life balance perspective, I work harder and longer hours than I ever did at a 9 to 5. Right. So like have no illusions if you want to be a creator. There's a lot more stress, there's a lot more anxiety, there's a lot more uncertainty that goes into being self-employed and running your own business than there ever is. Like it's not like when you're at a job, you can just like, punch out, go home at 5 o'clock and just like sit on the couch and like watch TV and like zone out. No. Like, like there's constantly something to do on your to-do list as a creator.
But the golden question, I already know the answer to this, but I'm just trying to make a point. Were you happier working the 9 to 5 job, or are you happier now where you're working around the clock?
Oh man. Like the level of fulfillment that comes, the level of opportunity that comes with being in control of your own destiny is unrivaled. Like you're never like never have to like literally answer to anyone. I mean, yes, you have to maybe answer. You're beholden to the platforms that pay you, right? So you can't necessarily can't do anything you want, or at risk of being like demonetized or something like that, right? But I mean, we haven't even talked about this, but like especially if you own your audience, like have a robust email list, for example, and you have a direct connection with your audience, you are in control of your own destiny, right? So yeah, I mean, there's nothing like that feeling, especially if you have any sort of like entrepreneurial bent.